Next Best Picture. Lang and Tracy, thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. I really loved the Four Seasons.
Oh, good.
Oh, thank you.
And watching it with my wife was even better. There were so many moments where she paused the show and was like, okay, whose side are you on with this?
Oh my God,
So,
really? I love that.
I think that's a good sign of effective writing. I don't know what else it shows, but at least that. I haven't seen Alan Alda's film that this was based on. What was it about that film that you felt was right for a remake?
Lang and I also hadn't seen it before we started working on this. So about a year and a half ago, Tina and Lang and I knew we wanted to make a show together, and a show that would be Tina's return to TV since 30 Rock. And we knew we wanted it to feel different than 30 Rock and then some of our other shows that were, fast-paced, hard comedies. And so we kept talking about a tone that was more grounded and maybe a show about friendship and marriage. And Tina kept referencing the Four Seasons, and she loved that movie so much. And Lang and I watched it, and I think we all kind of felt like, oh, this should be the show. It's it is a great structure. It lends itself really nicely to 8 episodes, and it has fun travel element, and you see the characters over the course of 4 different seasons. So we really thought the movie was so charming, and a TV show seemed perfect for it because there was so much stuff that they didn't have time to explore in the movie.
Yeah, and so few shows explore marriage and relationships in general at this age, or long-term relationships like this. Tell me about crafting these conversations and the comfortability that comes along with long-term relationships. How did you develop this sort of rapport between the characters?
Well, I think it started in our writers' room. We hired a great team of writers. Quite a few of them had worked with us before on 30 Rock. And we really chose people who are all around this age and who had been in long marriages and who just and where our old 30 Rock writers room was sort of like a joke a minute, and we would make funny pop culture references. This was like a mild therapy session among friends. So it was and all of our writers are so tremendous, but they were all so open and sharing their stories. And then, it would be someone would come in and be like, so last night, my wife said this to me. What do you guys, and it was so nice. And we would take it and we would kind of give it to our characters. And then the nice thing about our cast, I mean, aside from just being world-class actors, they all are really wonderful people, and a lot of them have known each other for years from before coming onto the show, and so there was a comfortability there in incorporating that writing, and it already felt like they were these couples.
Yeah, I do want to ask about the ensemble, but speaking of the writers' room, there are 2 little details that felt a little bit too real to be fictional.
Okay.
First of all, was Annie's addiction to a farm game on her iPad.
Yeah.
So who
Okay.
in the writers' room is addicted to Farmville?
I have to tell you, this is our favorite question. Lang and I light up when you ask about, we actually don't play Farmville, but it happened because Lang and I are simpletons, and we just sit and play in our free, we have children and obviously a job and stuff. We play little silly games on our phone. I mean, honestly, if I had free time, I'd do it 24 hours a day. I play one where I organize groceries. And Lang plays one, which I play too now, that's really fun, called Magic Sort, where she organizes little magic potions.
Yeah. So it's from us.
Incredible.
And Tracy is the one who was ranked very high on a leaderboard.
Yeah.
And was on a team for a while.
I was on a team, but it was all teenagers from China. So we couldn't communicate or anything.
That's incredible. The other one was Jack getting Claude the giant Napoleon biography for them to connect on. Where did this one come from?
I think this was from me.
Yeah.
I think my sister bought my husband. It was not Napoleon at first. It was Teddy Roosevelt, that 3-part. And my husband who is a little bit of a Jack, was so overwhelmed by the responsibility of, I gotta read these books. And I'm like, it's not a big deal. You're not in a college course. She doesn't care if you don't read it. And he felt such a such a weight on his back that he had to read 2 million pages about Teddy Roosevelt. And he did, eventually he did.
Wow, that's a commitment. Beautiful. Wow. Well, like you guys were saying, the ensemble here really makes the show. I mean, their relationships just work because they are such incredible performers. Like you said, many of them have worked together before. Of course, Steve and Tina, and Tina and Will. I feel like we haven't really seen Colman Domingo in this sort of vein before, flexing his comedic chops. Tell me about assembling these actors to portray such long-term relationships.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, we started with Steve. We wrote Nick for Steve, and we reached out to him after we wrote the pilot, and he read it and wanted to be a part of it, and we were just like overjoyed. And he and Tina have always had a great working relationship. And we went to Coleman second. And I think, Coleman started out in comedy. He was on the Big Gay Sketch Show, and he has since, been doing these incredible Oscar-worthy roles, but they are like heavy. And so I think when we came to him, not thinking he would do it, we were like, this is a shot in the dark. But he was like, yeah, I'm in. Like, he had just been filming The Madness, and like, and we talked to him on a day when he was like, I've been running through the woods away from Nazis.
Yeah. And it's like, do you want to come to Puerto Rico and like tell some jokes and like drink, drink a pina colada and go on a dance floor? And he was like, yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah. And he's so funny. I mean, he like had some of the best one-liners in the show. And then Jack took us a while because honestly, we were kind of like unsure exactly which direction to take that character in. But so then the next person I believe we cast was Carrie. And we cast Carrie. She auditioned, and it was this thing where like, we wrote this scene, and every actress was doing it, and we were like, I think the scene's bad. Like, I think we did a bad job writing the scene because it's just not working. And then she came on and did it, and we were like, oh no, this is a good scene. This is a really good scene. And we were like, her like precision with both emotion and comedy was just like amazing. And she along with like Will, like don't often get to do these sort of meatier, more emotional roles. And I think like people will be very surprised and excited by both of them. And then we also cast Erica. And that was a hard one to cast because you don't want Jenny to just be like a bimbo or like some young girl who has no substance. And Erica is just like a beam of sunlight who's just so full of hope. And then the last person we cast was Will, because for a while we had heard he was not available. And then that changed, and we were like, can we please have him? Like, can he be in it? And then and when that happened, then we like the Jack character just clicked right into place. But we, the thing that's great about the original movie is you just have, these people that are the most exciting people you've seen in other things all together in one place. So you have, Alan Alda and Carol Burnett are a couple, and you're just like, amazing. And Rita Moreno and Bess Armstrong, and it's just this like great cast of people that you want to hang out with. And we were like, we want to replicate that. And I feel like we got so lucky because I do think that's who our cast is, like your favorite people from a bunch of stuff.
They are incredible, and they sell these relationships so well, make them so believable. Well, of course, as the name suggests, the structure of the show is these friends who take 4 different vacations over the course of a year. With each break during these vacations, did you find it challenging to have enough time to let the characters grow in between each of these vacations and to sort of build in the growth that we don't get to see on screen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was sort of the fun for us, and the appeal of the structure is that you know, so often when you're writing a show, you're telling this linear story, and yeah, you could do time jumps and stuff, but it isn't set up in a way where there's going to be 2.5 months between the last time you saw them that you're going to have to fill in the blanks on what happened. And so that was sort of fun for us in the writer's room to kind of think of, okay, so we left them off and they're in sort of a bad place, and they said they needed couples therapy. So what has been going on for the last 2 months, and what would, you know, and so we could do that work in the room and then not necessarily write it all into the show, but so that we would know where have they sort of been since the last time we saw them, and what is the most fun ways to have the audience catch up on what they missed.
Well, I think similarly, for better or worse, so many marriages revolve around children, right? But
Yeah.
children play very little part in the story here overall. Was that a conscious decision? I wondered if you felt that talking too much about kids would sort of take away from the microscope that's on the marriages themselves.
Well, I think for this particular, I mean,
I think it's
we
an
we
age thing, right?
it was sort of an age thing. I mean, I think we mirrored what existed in the movie, and so
And in the 80s, no one cared about kids. It wasn't like now where everything has to be friggin' Disneyland, and what are we doing for the kids, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, because they're at an age where their kids are fully grown, they're college kids, but you know, it's like now it's just them. And I think you see Jack and Kate a little bit without overtly saying it. They are now empty nesters, and it's like they're just left with the two of them. And it's like, so what's their new reality now that they're not caring for this younger person? And so I think that's like like sort of an undercurrent that's happening, you know.
Because I think that happens in real life. I mean, like in your 40s, in your 30s, it's so much about the kids. And you can, even if your marriage is sort of not in a great spot, you can ignore it because you're both, you know, fighting the same battle in the hustle, keeping the kids alive and getting them to school and getting them to college. That I think this is common. Then the kids go to college, and now you have to confront, who is this person that I married, and in the time since then, like, who have we become, how have we changed, and does this still work anymore?
Well, I wish we were able to dig into spoilers so we could dig in even further, because I have lots of questions about where the series goes, but we won't get into that today. But without getting into spoilers, the show does end where there's certainly more story to tell with this group of friends. Have you started talking about developing another season?
We've talked about it, and I think we would love to do it if we were afforded that opportunity. I think it would not be an anthology. I think we would want to stay with this group of people. But you know, you would have 4 new trips and maybe some fun guest stars. But yeah, I mean, we would love to keep it going.
Well, one last question before I let you go. Obviously, a show about relationships, and I'm always fascinated by artistic partnerships as well. You've both created and ran this show with Tina Fey, of course, and you've worked with her before. Did you find many similarities between the long-term relationships that we see in the show and any of the creative partnerships that you've had throughout your careers?
Well, yeah, I mean, in some ways, like, you know, I mean, for starters, like, we are best friends. Like, we actually are very, very, very close. And Tina is our close friend too. And so, you know, you're always nervous when you decide to do a like professional partnership with someone who you are a good friend with, because you never know. Like sometimes it goes one way, sometimes
So
it goes.
many like co-showrunners like hate each other's guts.
Yeah, there's like plenty of rooms that now are 2 rooms.
2 rooms where the guys don't talk to each other. And I was like, I hope, like, Lang's the godmother of my child and vice versa. I hope at the end of this, it isn't like we have to be in 2 rooms and we can't talk to each other. But it has been a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I love reuniting with Tina now as like, I feel like as an adult. I feel like when we worked on 30 Rock, like we were in our 20s and I was a child. And now as like I mean, we'll never be equals, but as equals with her, it has been such like a meaningful and enjoyable experience to be able to create something with her. And also to create something together. Like, I wrote with Lang on 30 Rock on the Mindy project. Like, we've been coworkers, but we've never created anything together. And it's been such a special experience. I love Lang, and getting to like work with her in this way has just shown me she is so smart and so good at writing. And it's like, you just have a teammate you believe in so much. It's been great.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I also think like, show running is so very hard. And it's like, it's like three jobs in one. And so to have two collaborators whom you love and respect, and who like you don't have to like worry are gonna make crazy decisions, like it's like it made creating this show so humane and fun and like delightful, honestly.
Yeah.
It was really great.
Amazing. Well, I know more people are going to experience all of that delight and all of the incredible writing that's in this show, so I can't wait for more people to see it. Thank you all so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.